Bonjour et bienvenue. Good day and welcome to today's special event. I am Amir Asif, Vice President Research and Innovation. It is my pleasure to welcome the platform party. Rhonda Lenton, President and Vice Chancellor, York University. Paola Dida, Director, Forest, Land and Housing Division, UNECE. Ahmed Hassan, Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. Stephen Gates, Director, Canadian Observatory on Homelessness, York University. Melanie Redman, Co-founder, President and CEO, Away Home Canada. Judy Siskro, Member of Parliament, Humber River Black Creek. Adam Vaughan, Member of Parliament, Spadina, Fort York. Jane Melanfant, Student Representative. Cora MacDonald, Student Representative. As this event is virtual and we are not all gathered in the same space, I recognize that this land acknowledgement might not be for the territory that you're currently on. We ask that if this is the case, you take the responsibility to acknowledge the traditional territory you're on and the current treaty holders. As a member of the York University community, I recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. York University acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Toronto has been caretaken by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. It is now my pleasure to introduce President and Vice Chancellor of York University, Rhonda L. Lenton.
Thank you so much, Vice President Asif. Hello, everyone. Bonjour, bonjour. I want to welcome everyone and also especially welcome the other speakers that are on the panel. For more than 60 years, York University has leveraged its unique role in society to facilitate multi-sector and interdisciplinary collaboration between its researchers and educators and representatives from the government and private and not-profit sectors, community partners, and engaged citizens. And today, as we face complex challenges like homelessness, inequality, climate change, and a variety of local and global health issues, the need to work together across sectors to address these challenges has never been more pressing. And so I am particularly pleased to announce a new collaboration between York University and the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, which will support the establishment of the Toronto Centre of Excellence on Youth Homelessness Prevention, the first Geneva UN Charter Center of Excellence in North America. This new Center of Excellence will be hosted by York University and will be co-directed by Faculty of Education, Professor Stephen Gates, President of the Canadian Observatory on Homelessness at York University, and Melanie Redman, co-founder, president, and CEO of Away Home Canada. Building on the research of the Observatory on Homelessness and Away Home Canada, the center will bring together experts, policymakers, and local and international community partners to assess the situation of youth homelessness and prevention in the 56 member states of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. Help get youth homelessness and prevention onto public policy agendas and make a positive global impact on this urgent social issue. Through the work of the Observatory, we already know that realistic and practical solutions to homelessness exist, and that with the help of credible evidence, supportive policy, and adequate funding frameworks, eradicating homelessness is a real possibility. And with the establishment of the new Center of Excellence on Youth Homelessness Prevention, I am thrilled to announce that we are one step closer to making this possibility a reality. Thank you so much. Merci, miigwech.
Thank you, President Linton. I would like to next introduce to the stage Paola Dida, Director, Forests, Land and Housing Division, UNECE.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dean, Excellency, and dear colleagues. Well, first of all, a big thank you from Geneva, and I apologize, I have to speak from home today. It's 30 degrees with no air conditioning. You might be aware that in Geneva, there is a very important meeting today, President Biden meeting President Putin, and we are kindly requested not to be around. You can imagine the level of traffic. But we have a very important meeting as well, so I'm happy to join on behalf of our Executive Secretary, the Executive Secretary of UNECE, Ms. Olga Algayeva. We are very proud and we're very grateful to you for this Center of Excellence. We have actually 8 centers of excellence spread all over Europe and North America. Even the word and the name of UNECE speaks of Europe only. It's a bit misleading because actually the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe covers North America, namely the United States and Canada, the rest of all Europe, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and the Russian Federation. So we are a very large territory and land. I'm very happy, as I mentioned, to have this new Center of Excellence open, inaugurated today, and its work launched, because this is really going to be a crucial help and assistance to the implementation of the United Nations Charter on Sustainable Housing. This is really the document that leads all our work and is a blueprint looking at environmental, economic, cultural aspects of housing, and supports the development of policies and specific actions at all levels, and does this through international cooperation. So this is where really you come in to address and help us with knowledge, with policy development in the area of homelessness. Now, I believe that also the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us, and probably those in this meeting didn't need to this reminder. We are in the field, we know it very well, but perhaps has reminded the world the importance of adequate housing and the challenges related to that. So let's hope that although the pandemic has been a true tragedy, at least it has brought forward in the political agenda issues that both in UNECE and together with you in your center, we will be able to address more closely. What we are looking at is mobilize more knowledge, leverage partnerships like the one we established today between you and the United Nations, but also really develop policies, and finally lead to actions that we can really have through the support of our government. And I'm actually very happy and honored that the minister is with us today. Now, as I mentioned, Toronto Center is an addition to our networks of researchers and users and professionals, policymakers. We hope that also the network will come together, that you would not work only in isolation as the Center of Homelessness, but also share your knowledge with the other centers so that really we reinforce our presence and our role. Besides being extremely grateful to the university, I also hope that you will be able to also join two important meetings that we are planning and also looking forward to contributing to those. The first one is a ministerial meeting on housing and urban development. It will be taking place in October 2021. It's a ministerial level, so of course ministerial input is very much welcome, and we hope to adopt an action plan for life and place in EC, really looking at housing in the context of sustainable cities. And the next one, of course, is our Forum of Mayors in April 2022. We believe that also is an important place for your center to deliver a message directly to representatives or local authorities. Well, again, thank you very much. And I was informed that after me is the minister speaking, which again, I take the opportunity to thank very much. So Mr. Ahmed Hussein, as the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, I understand I'll leave the floor to you, and thank you again for joining us today, and thank all of you for making this happen. This has been quite a long process to get here, but we made it, and I'm very happy and look forward to great results. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pehola. It is now my pleasure to introduce Ahmed Hassan, Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, and I'm pleased to say a York alumni. Welcome back, Minister Hassan.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here and to come back to York University. Bonjour à tous. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Je remercie l'Université York et la Commission économique des Nations Unies pour l'Europe de m'avoir invité à prendre part à ce moment très important. Thank you to York University and to the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe for allowing me to be part of this really important event. I'm so pleased to see the very first Geneva UN Charter Center of Excellence in North America being established right here in Canada. Cela démontre clairement que des progrès sont accomplis dans la lutte et la prévention de l'itinérance chez les jeunes, non seulement ici, mais dans toutes les nations. This clearly demonstrates that progress is being made towards addressing and preventing youth homelessness, not just here, but across the world. It is very exciting that the Canadian Observatory on Homelessness and Away Home Canada will be able to contribute to a broader effort to prevent homelessness among young people around the world. They will do so through the Making the Shift project and related lessons that have been learned. I would be remiss not to mention that our government has provided funding under the Youth Employment Strategy Skills Link program for the Making Shift project. I'm proud to say that we get to be part of this great achievement as well. Notre gouvernement travaille fort pour s'assurer que tous les Canadiens aient un droit sûr et abordable où se loger. Our government has been working hard to ensure that all Canadians have a safe and affordable place to call home. In our most recent budget, we proposed additional funding through Reaching Home, Canada's homelessness strategy to ensure communities can continue to safely serve those experiencing homelessness and to prevent at-risk Canadians from becoming homeless. Grâce à cette stratégie, nous prenons les mesures nécessaires pour prévenir et réduire l'itinérance et pour parvenir à éliminer l'itinérance chronique dans tous les pays. Through this strategy, we're taking the necessary steps to prevent and reduce homelessness, and also to work towards eliminating chronic homelessness across the country. In closing, I'd like to thank and congratulate all who've been working to make the Toronto Center of Excellence on Youth Homelessness Prevention a reality. Canada will be home to the very first Geneva UN Charter of Excellence in North America, and this is because of all of you and your devotion to young people experiencing or who are at risk of experiencing homelessness. And before I conclude, I also wanted to recognize and thank my colleagues and friends, Judith Groh and Adam Vaughn, who care about York University, they care about housing, they care about homelessness, and they have been strong champions of their communities, but also across the country on these issues. And that's why collectively as a team in our Liberal government, we've been prioritizing addressing the elimination of chronic homelessness in our budget. And that is why we have been making record investments in affordable housing to make sure that we provide permanent housing solutions for Canadians who find themselves at risk of experiencing homelessness or who are already experiencing homelessness. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Hassan. Now, please join me in welcoming Stephen Gates, Director, Canadian Observatory on Homelessness, York University, and Melanie Redman, co-founder, president, and CEO, Away Home Canada.
Welcome, and thank you for the remarks. This is a very exciting day for us, and it's a culmination of years of work. It's important to say that all of the work that we do around homelessness and the prevention of homelessness and youth homelessness relies heavily on collaboration. As researchers, we cannot alone create change. We create knowledge that can contribute to change, but it is through our partnerships that this kind of thing can happen. And York University has been very supportive of that. But I think the collaboration between the Canadian Observatory on Homelessness and Away Home Canada has been absolutely unique and created the opportunity for real transformation. Melanie.
I just want to thank York University and the Faculty of Education. Over the last years, they've been so very supportive. And I think it's a wonderful example of a university and community partnership. But speaking of international engagement, I was speaking at a live virtual event in Australia until 3 a.m. So Steve is going to do most of the talking today, but I just want to thank all of you, and especially Minister Hussein and our members of Parliament for joining us.
Thank you. And now we're going to do a short presentation to basically explain what this is and how it works. So if the slides can be put up, we'll proceed with this presentation. Okay, so you've now been introduced to the idea of UN Geneva Charter Center of Excellence, and we're going to try and explain how this works and why this is important for our work. Next. Next slide. Okay, so the first thing is that this designation is more than just a set of words or a title. It's actually going to enhance our ability and opportunities to really engage in international work and partnership and collaboration to really move the dial on youth homelessness prevention. In many countries, including Canada, a lot of our investment and effort has been on that emergency response, shelters and things that help people while they're in the midst of homelessness, but don't really contribute to the prevention or exiting of homelessness. And in the pandemic, if there's one thing we've learned, is that prevention matters, right? You can't imagine a response to the pandemic without prevention at the forefront. And that's true with homelessness as well. Next. So why does international engagement matter? Why don't we just stay at home and figure out the problems ourselves? Well, the truth is that our history, both Away Home Canada and the Observatory, our history of learning and the paradigm shifting moments that we've had around thinking about how to transform the response to homelessness have largely derived through international connection and collaboration. So working with our Australian partners and discovering that rather than build emergency shelters, they've decided it's better to prevent youth homelessness through intervening in schools, right? Doing early intervention. We've done a lot of collaborative work with American partners on prevention, particularly in places like Washington State, where there is kind of a center of innovation itself. And with Fianza in Europe and the European Housing First Hub, we've continued to do this kind of collaboration. A lot of bi-directional flow of knowledge and ideas that have had a profound influence in Canada, and we've contributed as well ideas internationally. Everything from looking at Scotland, how they respond to young people transitioning from care, to more recently, the Welsh prevention legislation that involves a duty to assist, which is a way to actualize the right to housing. These kind of things are incredible. And we have contributed ideas the other way, for instance, Housing First for Youth, which I'll talk about later. So next, the key point here is that it's through international engagement that we accelerate our progress in preventing and ending youth homelessness. Next. So, so a little more on the UNECE and Geneva UN Charter Centers on Sustainable Housing. These centers are established as a network by the UNECE, and as Paola said, there are 8 of them so far. And the Charter Centers support member states, the 56 member states, as they seek to ensure access to decent, adequate, and affordable and healthy housing for all. So the Charter Center is based on 4 principles, environmental protection, economic effectiveness, social inclusion and participation, and cultural adequacy. So there's an alignment between what the UNECE is trying to do through its focus on sustainable housing and what we're trying to do through a focus on preventing youth homelessness. Next. So our tasks then are going to be to engage in that international exchange of experiences, right, to support the UN Charter on Sustainable Housing. The designation as a charter center is going to enhance our access to the member states and policy making across those member states. And it will enhance Canada's participation in that as well. So we're going to also work across the member states to ensure the UN obligations regarding the rights of the child and youth are upheld. So through all of this work, we're going to contribute to the prevention of youth homelessness. Next. So about us and our work. So we'll begin next with the Canadian Observatory on Homelessness, which is hosted at York University, and Away Home Canada. We partnership together and have created with our partners something called Making the Shift Next, which is a youth homelessness social innovation lab. It is funded both by Youth Employment and Skills Strategy, as Minister Hussein mentioned, as well as the Tri-Council networks of centers of excellence. And so through this support, we've managed to implement a very expansive, not expensive, but expansive agenda on the research on the prevention of youth homelessness, with the goal of developing practical solutions that government, funders, communities can implement. Next. So this is our collective body of work. We develop resources as the outcome of a research. This document here is the roadmap for the prevention of youth homelessness. It's kind of our go-to framework for how to solve this problem. Next. Making the Shift, which we just mentioned, is our research engine, and we currently are funding 31 projects in Canada. Next. As well as demonstration projects, which are real-world testing of interventions in real time with community partners. And these 4 ones listed here are key ones that we've been working on and are developing some incredible results. Next. But doing research is not enough. Publishing good results is not enough. We have to mobilize the knowledge so that it has an impact on policy and practice. And that's about relationships, about connection, about patience, understanding implementation science. So it's a longer term piece of work, but is one that is absolutely key to ensuring the uptake and implementation of the knowledge we produce. Next. And the final thing is training and technical assistance. Once you get people to the point where they're like, oh, you know what, that Housing First for Youth looks really interesting. We should do it, but we're not sure where to start. The training and technical assistance gives the hand-on knowledge and expertise to build capacity locally so that communities can apply these things that we know will prevent youth homelessness. Next. So our scope of work is laid out here. So of course, we're promoting the Geneva UN Charter on Sustainable Housing. We're at the core of our work is engagement, collaboration, and convening. The Charter Center is going to enable us to do more of this kind of work. We're co-develop with our partners in the 56 member states an international research agenda that's going to further the work, understanding that the context in different nation states is different. which is both a positive thing because that means that we can learn new things, but it also means that ideas have to be adapted to that reality. Mobilizing knowledge to influence policy and practice, we will work with our partners elsewhere to do this kind of work to ensure uptake. And then the training and technical assistance. Next, we'll give you a couple of examples of how this works. One of the things that we're bringing to this center is the Upstream International Living Lab, which is a collaboration focusing on cutting edge school-based early intervention. And currently, the partners next include Canada, Australia, the United States, and Wales, with more to follow. There's growing interest in this, and this is the kind of thing where, with our charter center, that we can really leverage and try to take it to scale. Next. This will be the last slide here. So Housing First is one of the few interventions for which there is a solid evidence base in the homelessness. But it doesn't work so well for young people. So what we did is we, in Canada, working with our community partners, developed an adaptation to meet the needs of developing adolescents and young adults. We've been doing a lot of collaboration with our European partners on this intervention and model over the years. And in fact, the application of the intervention took off much quicker in Europe than it did in Canada. So Scotland and Netherlands and Ireland implemented versions of this fairly soon. But we're catching up. Now there's like 25 communities in Canada that are applying this model. But what we're going to do collaboratively with our European partners is work together on training and technical assistance, on research and evaluation, create a common evaluation framework, communication tools and resources. Some of our resources, for instance, the Youth Rights Right Now guide has already been translated into like 8 different languages and has been very influential in Europe. We'll do knowledge mobilization, seminar plans together, conferences and events, audit of current projects, that kind of thing. So the more we do this together, it creates better work. And for students that we work with, the opportunities to engage internationally will be important. So we're very excited about this work, and we want you all to join us in moving forward on this very important agenda to prevent youth homelessness, because we can actually end youth homelessness if we want to. And if we do that, not only will we be improving the lives of young people and their families, but will likely have a huge impact on chronic homelessness, because 50% of all currently homeless people had their first episode before they're 24. So if we can get the response to youth homelessness right, we also create a response to homelessness writ large. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen and Melanie. Indeed, an aspirational and far-reaching vision. It is now my vision to introduce Member of Parliament, Humber River Black Creek, and no stranger to York University, Judy Suskrow.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. And let me say to Melanie and Steve, thank you for the excellent work that you do. These are issues that I believe we all care very much, and doing it in partnership with the leading university of York University is just terrific. So I'm pleased to be with you all today to have the opportunity to highlight yet another great project taking place here at the wonderful campus of York University. The residents of Humber River Black Creek are so lucky to have such a distinguished academic institution available to them here at York, and is very much connected with ongoing initiatives in the community all the time. Especially with a leader like Dr. Lenton in charge, she has done a truly remarkable job here on campus, and today is another example of a partnership that I'm sure that she will just continue to work on. I know the students cherish her guidance and the leadership, especially over this last year, having to deal with a global pandemic. But today's announcement is not about COVID-19. It's nice to talk about something else for a change, but it's about putting an end to homelessness, an issue that has always been near and dear to my heart for quite some time. But unfortunately, far too many people find themselves without a roof over their head in Canada. But through the hard work and leadership of Minister Hussain and our government and Parliamentary Secretary Adam Vaughan, who has worked on the issue of homelessness for at least the 20 years or so that I've known him, has worked tirelessly to implement our national housing strategy. And I am confident that homelessness will be a thing of the past. Partnerships like the one we're announcing here today is another step in the right direction in the fight to get people up off the street and find them permanent and affordable shelter. And to provide even more details on today's announcement, I want to take this opportunity to introduce to you one of the strongest voices in Parliament on housing and an even stronger advocate for ending homelessness, the Member of Parliament for Spadina, Fort York. Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, my friend and colleague, Mr. Adam Vaughan. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Judy. Those very, very kind words, and congratulations to York University in particular, Stephen Gates and Melanie Redmond, for bringing together so many different streams of thought, research, and activism to address this issue. One thing we know about homelessness is that it's much easier to solve if you prevent it than if you simply try to manage it out of existence. And the pandemic has shown us that some of the most important crises that we face as a planet are addressed when you have stronger housing policy. The pandemic showed us that, but we knew it before. And the reality is that if we're going to end chronic homelessness, it begins by preventing it with young people. Every study, every report, and every lived experience that has been expressed to a politician or to a housing authority has focused in on this. When young people experience homelessness early in their lives and repeatedly in their young lives, it sets them up for a lifetime of chronic homelessness. And so the move to end homelessness on a global level, the move to build stronger cities and stronger communities begins by protecting and creating better housing programs for young people and families, and to sustain that practice throughout their lifetime. And when governments and societies and communities do that, young people thrive, neighborhoods and communities become stronger, cities are better, and by extension, countries in the world gets to be a better place for all. But without this sort of research, without this sort of advocacy, without these sorts of strategies, without these sort of innovations that come from the collaboration between research, people lived experience, housing providers, governments, and civil society, without everybody focused on this, we just don't get the results. But it's good news, because it allows us to understand what's effective. It allows us to help people more immediately, and the results are spoken for by the young people themselves, who actually emerge out of this process as young leaders, ready to make sure that the next generation is taken care of as well as they were. So it's time for us to end homelessness in Canada. It's time for us to make sure we do it globally and contribute to the global dialogue on this. And I'm very proud to live in a city and be in a country that has been chosen to take such a strong leadership position on this issue. So congratulations to York University. Best of luck to Stephen and Melanie, and to the Center for granting us this opportunity to add our voice to the chorus of communities around the world fighting to end homelessness. Thank you very much to the UN Center in Geneva. Good day.
Thank you to the platform party. I now invite President Lenton and Paola Dida to sign the MOU.
So I'm going to assume that if anyone was taking a picture of that, you got it. Those were absolutely incredible remarks from everyone. Just thank you so much, everyone. And if you are able, I would ask that everyone now please raise a mug or a glass or a bottle, whatever you have on hand with the beverage of your choosing. The establishment of the new Center of Excellence on Youth Homelessness Prevention represents a new chapter for York University, the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, and partners across the globe. We look forward so much to working together to end youth homelessness in Canada and around the world. Cheers, everyone. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
Congratulations all. We now open the stage to questions. I see that the first question has come from Cora. Cora, would you proceed with your question?
Hi there. Thanks so much to all the speakers for your remarks and for taking my question. As a member of the York University community, this announcement is really, really exciting. And with this, I'd like to ask President Lenton, actually, if you could expand upon how you think the Center of Excellence will contribute to York's University's reputation and aspirations moving forward. Thanks.
Well, thank you for that great question. You know, as reflected just in our most recent university academic plan for 2020-2025, we once again always have really reinforced a very specific vision for York University. And I think we've been recognized as a dynamic and progressive university. But that vision is always focused on what we can do to maximize our impact, how we can drive positive change. And we measure our success very much by the impact that we're having both locally and globally. And this new Center of Excellence is going to allow us to build on the global leadership of our researchers in creating innovative and evidence-based solutions to youth homelessness and help make a real difference in the lives of young people around the world who are either experiencing homelessness or at risk of becoming homeless. So I'm incredibly grateful and proud of the researchers, of Melanie and Stephen, that we're going to be having the center at York University.
Thank you, President Lenton. The next question is from Jane Mellenfant. Jane, would you go ahead with your question, please?
Bonjour tout le monde. Yeah, first of all, congratulations. This is super exciting. I've been reflecting a lot on my time at York and how impactful it was for me as a master's student to have the Canadian Observatory on Homelessness there, to work with both Steve and Melanie, as someone who didn't have the most typical trajectory getting to York. So my question is, what will the UN Charter Center of Excellence tangibly mean for diverse students with diverse life experiences attending York University in the future?
Well, I think thanks, Jane. That's a really thoughtful question and very anthropological. That's just a joke because that was her master's program. The York University actually is an important university in the way that it reflects the diversity of Canada. So that's important, that the body of students who come to York come from different backgrounds. We have people and different experiences, which can include the experience of racism, homophobia, Islamophobia, many different things. And so our work will have to continue to have that, what we call intersectional lens, to not just study difference, but to leverage and celebrate difference as part of the work we do. One of the key things, and Jane, you'll know this, is that we also, through making the shift, have set up a group called LiveX, which is a group of young scholars who all have lived experience of youth homelessness, right? And that powerful experience, which you know, I don't want to sugarcoat or you know, valorize, is something that a whole group of young people are bringing to their work, that knowledge that comes from that direct experience. And so we want to continue to support that kind of work and elevate it and highlight it through the university. And I just want to say, Adam, one of your comments was about you know, nurturing the new generation of scholars, activists, thinkers, policymakers, and both Cora and Jane represent the best of that. They're young scholars, doing innovative, cutting edge research on youth homelessness. And so what this project I hope will do is, and the designation is really enhance that work, but also give these young scholars more opportunities to benefit from international engagement as well. So thank you, Jane and Cora.
Can I add to that you know, ending homelessness, we know what the constituent parts are. It's a home, and it's support to sustain your residency in that home, income supports usually, or rent supports, and then there's of course maintenance and sometimes support for people that have been highly traumatized by past life experience. But that word trauma will appear repeatedly throughout work you do around homelessness, and different communities in different parts of the world and in different parts of Canada and even different parts of Toronto experience homelessness differently, but also have an expectation of what constitutes home that is unique and different. And if you don't understand the cultural components and the details of people's lives within a housing system, the housing systems you build become one size fits all. And we've seen what industrialized housing does to people experiencing homelessness in different parts of the world. And so it's not just simply about the number of doors you create, the number of subsidies you create, and the maintenance programs and the support programs you create. If you don't build housing systems from the user, from the person out and up, you don't create housing systems that work for individuals in different situations. Some people need communal living. Some people need to be living alone. Some people need to be living in concert with other people, but some people also need to have their identity expressed in a different way through their housing choices. What the study and the research and the collaboration, in particular when it's using people with lived experience, and in particular young people with lived experience, shows us is where these systems work best, but also where the cracks are in these systems. And where those cracks are, those are where people fall between the systems and fall into homelessness. And so prevention requires us to understand the patterns of settlement that young people choose for themselves, but also the pattern of settlement that young people expect to be receiving from governmental or social systems. And that's why the research would, it's very easy to say just build, 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 build. But if you're not building the right housing in the right place in the right way with people who are going to use it, you don't end up with housing that works, and you don't end up with cities that are functional, and you don't end up with countries that thrive. And so it is fundamental to ending homelessness to start with young people's experience in homelessness, but also with their expectations and dreams, because those aspirations need to shape policy, not be shaped by policy.
Merci beaucoup, Adam. Thank you, Stephen. Our next question is from Cora McDonald. Cora, can you please ask your question?
Hi again. Yeah, so this question, it kind of builds on Steve's last response. I'm a PhD student, researcher in training in the field of youth homelessness. And I can say that, the Canadian Observatory and Away Home Canada are my go-to stops for finding youth homelessness research, practice, publications, reports, webinars, you name it, anything youth homelessness related. So I guess in knowing the reputation of these organizations as leaders in mobilizing knowledge within and outside the academy, importantly as well, I'd like to ask what role you think this center will play in being at the forefront of youth homelessness scholarship. Thanks.
Thank you, Cora. That's a really good question. I think I'm going to use Melanie's language here, but the Charter Center gives us an international megaphone to mobilize the knowledge on youth homelessness and prevention. And Adam, your remarks about the need to really do all of that with a equity lens is key to it. And so we will now have improved access to the 56 member states of the UNECE. We will leverage and build on our existing partnerships. The partnerships that we have in place show us exactly what that means and what it can do in terms of improving insights and knowledge. Ultimately, all of this will mean little if we don't actually start to see this knowledge implemented so that it improves the lives of young people and their families and the communities that they live in. So for those who are our partners, for students that we're working with, we're going to carry this forward, and we are going to do all that we can to contribute to meaningful change that will benefit people in the most positive way, and will reflect the needs and the stories of different people in all the member states. In fact, around the world, we hope.
And just to add to that, Stephen, all of our work is about getting the best possible outcomes for young people and their families. And, the language around knowledge mobilization, we always have to bring that down to the ground, to community, and to the lives of young people and their families.
That's right.
Thank you, Stephen and Melanie. I do not see any further questions. So I'd like to thank everyone. Special thanks to the platform party. This concludes today's event. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Congratulations. Now go end homelessness.
We're on.
Very successful, and I'm sure it will be.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.